Good evening. Hope everybody is having a great week so far. I really wanted this meeting to be in person, but as I noted in my message to you all, it really made sense at this time not to have a large gathering, but really share details of the freshman trip through this means. And then, as we get closer to the trip, really provide that time and space for that Q&A session, the questions that I could anticipate that we would likely have tonight. The one benefit to that is it actually will help us as we get closer to the trip to understand what some of those unknowns, COVID-related unknowns, what those might be as we get closer. I will say our hope, and we are moving forward with interim, our hope is as quickly as we've seen this wave of Omicron sweep up, we hope that we see that downtick in good time and in shorter order, which will provide space for us to be able to have this trip as planned. I really appreciate all of you getting back and the feedback when we sent out surveys with vaccination status and the like. It really, I think, has been helpful to be able to move forward with this trip. So tonight, really what I hope to do is give an overview of the trip, including those logistical details of the trip, to give you a little bit of an experience, what your child will experience, and then how we go through with the Chicago trip. Also to share a general idea of just what to pack. This will be a general idea. We'll share at a later date a detailed packing list that the students will need to take with them, and also what not to take as we go. And really, I also, in addition to that, just want to give kind of what the next steps are and when you'll hear from us as we go along. So with that, I'll go ahead and really start with some of the details of the trip. The trip obviously is March 6th through the 10th. We will leave, really, depending on how you want to look at it, either late night Saturday, early morning Sunday, as we'll leave midnight, as we'll talk about the trip departing, and we'll return that Thursday. Obviously, we bus up to Chicago, so Sunday is a big travel day, as well as Thursday is a big travel day for us. We will, as I mentioned, we will gather at Randolph Saturday, March 5th at 11:45 p.m. We will plan to leave shortly after midnight as we begin that trip. In the past, when I first arrived, we'd leave at 4 a.m, and that was difficult because either you stay up late or you get up really early. And so by leaving at midnight, our hope is the students will fall asleep, get some rest on the bus as we travel, wake up in the morning as we stop for breakfast, and then eventually get to Chicago for lunch and really make that travel a little bit easier. This departure time also allows us for our first event, which is a matinee performance on Sunday, really will help us with that piece. So we'll meet Saturday, March 5th at Randolph in front of the Nichols Academic Building at 11:45 p.m. to depart. We'll arrive back Thursday, March 10th. Sometimes it is as late as midnight. Our hope is to get back sooner than that. One of the things that we will do as we go is we'll let the kids, give them notification to text you and let you know where we predict that timefall will go as we get away from the city. But we will also kind of give updates as we get closer, hit Indianapolis and on down 65 as we get closer to give you that range. So we will come back Randolph there Thursday, March 10th, and it could be late that evening, but hopefully we can get back sooner. It really depends on traffic. To share who's going on this trip, we have an excellent group of faculty chaperones who will be going along with us with the freshman class. Mr. Davenport, Dr. Charles, Mr. Green, who teaches all of our freshmen in the English course, Mrs. Campman, Mrs. Kemp, our learning specialist, Ms. Menard, a French teacher, Coach Morris, who's our Dean of Student Culture. I will be going, Ms. Sheeler, our school counselor, and then Nurse Deb Smith. This is an outstanding collection of faculty chaperones. Each chaperone will have what we call a walking group, somewhere around 10 students that they will be with over the course of this trip that they're responsible for. We also have several interns who are older students, juniors and seniors, who've chosen to come back and actually serve on this trip. Some of those students have been on this trip before. It's crazy to think that the last time that we went on the Chicago trip, these seniors were freshmen, and it was their freshman trip. And so we have some seniors who want to go back to Chicago. They enjoyed that experience that much. It really is one of those things that students remark about how much they enjoy the Chicago trip. It's the last class trip of the Randolph experience if they've been here K-12. And it really is this special time where even if students have been around together, they're going to get to know some other students, their classmates, better than they ever knew them before. And it really is a great experience. And so these adults are going to lead that way and really work with your children over the course of this trip. So we're excited to have this group with us. In terms of logistics, we partner with a tour company, Grand Classroom. They handle the logistics in terms of creating itinerary, buying tickets, and the like. It really is great concierge service that they provide as we take on this trip. And so that we've been working hand in hand together, really to come up with a great itinerary and work through those trip details. Also, we take obviously tour buses as we leave from Huntsville. We will drive on 3 charter buses from Knoxville Tours up to Chicago. These same buses will be with us our entire time in Chicago. It used to be there was a lot more walking in the trip. We'll still get in a good bit, especially that first day this year, and then also when we have our architectural tour. But really the walking we do is confined to a small area, and most of this trip, really, we enjoy door-to-door service from the coaches, which is great getting around such a large city as Chicago. And so that's a big piece as we really do go door service and door-to-door with the buses. The hotel that we stay in is the Hampton Inn. It's in the downtown River North. It's just off North Michigan, if you're familiar with the area. 33 West Illinois, Chicago, Illinois 60654. It is a fantastic hotel. They actually were doing some remodeling in the last couple of years. This is one of the hotels when I go personally. I like to stay there in Chicago. It happens to be right next to a Red Line stop. While we won't be going on the L on the trains with our students on this trip, it really is a convenient location right off of North Michigan, as you see with this star. The majority of our trip really will be spent inside that circle, as you see there, surrounding North Michigan. The walking that we do will really be confined only to this area. Never will students be on their own walking through the city. So any place that we go outside of this, the Field Museum or all the museums, the Roby House and the like, those things outside of that circle, we will be taking buses there. In terms of health and safety, which obviously this year out of all is really important. Nurse Deb Smith, as I mentioned, will be going on the trip. She's a veteran of this trip as well, and does a fantastic job taking care of the needs of our students on the trip. We will share lots of contact information, but her cell phone number is given here. If there are any issues during the trip, you may hear from her, or if there are any issues the other way and you need to reach her, she absolutely is available there. She, like I said, provides great service. One of the things that this year brings about with the trip, obviously, was the vaccination requirement. While I know that was a difficult ask and precluded some of our freshmen from going on the trip, Chicago has a municipal ordinance that for all of the venues that we would be going to, they require the vaccination. And so just to note, we will be taking the actual cards with us. We know with student travel, if each student was left to take care of their own card, there'd be a good chance that we'd run into some issues and some lost cards. What we're going to do is have the chaperones keep the actual card and keep that with them. There are other things, obviously, that they'll be carrying with them, but they'll have the actual card. We're going to have students with copies of their card as we enter those venues, and the venues that need the actual physical card, the chaperone of their walking group will help them get in. So we'll give some more detail about that, but that's one of those pieces that we absolutely will need, and we'll be sending more information along with that as we get closer there. So we're going to have the chaperones keep up with them, help when we need to enter a venue with the actual card, but other than that, we're going to have the student carry a copy of their card, and we can help them through that process as well. In terms of our itinerary, this is our final itinerary, but as we know, as student travel, sometimes we rearrange we may need to tweak a time here or there, but this will show you absolutely what the trip experience will be like. It is a tour de force of Chicago, and it is one of those trips where when they get back on Thursday night late, I can promise you they're going to be tired on Friday. But it's fantastic as we get to see a city that has so much culture and so much history, and so many things that really provide a great experience for our students. We're going to start, obviously, when we get to Randolph. We are going to be able to spend some time walking just up and down in our groups the Magnificent Mile, North Michigan. We will then go to the musical, which is not far across the river at the theater there. Come From Away, which if you're unfamiliar with this, I believe it's streaming on one of the streaming services now, maybe Disney Plus, but it's the story of a town in Canada on 9/11 as planes get grounded at their airport, and so this will be the first musical we see. It's a matinee performance. We'll be able to check into the hotel after a long day of travel, and end our first day. On Monday, we'll get up early, hit the Shed Aquarium, also get a workshop, not just a performance, but a private workshop with Second City Improv. Improv was, if you're familiar with it, was created as a means to help children how to play with each other in schools and education, of taking what one classmate gives you and building upon that, a both and status. And so the cast of Second City will be working in that workshop with our students and then putting on a private show there as well. If you're familiar with Saturday Night Live and the like, many of those legendary figures and comics who have come through SNL got their start in Second City. I personally this summer was there in Chicago and was able to see Second City, and it actually was the cast that I was able to see at that performance. They actually were the cast that worked with our students when we went with the current senior class on the Chicago trip. So it was great to be able to see them perform in the full show, and then also remember them from their time working with our students in that workshop. We'll have dinner at the Hard Rock Cafe, and then we'll finish the first day visiting the 360 Chicago Sky Deck in the building that was formerly the Hancock Tower there, and the 360 Chicago view to end the evening. On Tuesday, we'll see the Art Institute of Chicago. All Ferris Bueller fans will appreciate the tour de force of seeing many of the highlights of that trip. It is a space that is often a favorite of the trip, and one where we could spend an entire day looking at all the pieces of interest there. What is great is our freshmen, both history and visual art classes, spend a good bit of time prepping students for their visit at the Institute of Art, and it's a phenomenal experience. We'll see the Millennium Park and the Bean. We'll take a class photo outside at the Bean statue, and we will play what all Randolph alums of the Chicago trip will tell you is a highlight: Whirly Ball. It's a fantastic cross between bumper cars, basketball, the trackball game that you might play at the beach, all in an enclosed area. It really is a fun time. Whirly Ball we'll play, and then after dinner we'll go see the Chicago Blackhawks take on the Anaheim Ducks there at Chicago Stadium. Then on Wednesday, We'll go to the Frank Lloyd Wright Home, take the walking tour, the Chicago Architectural Foundation tour. The boat tours are not open yet, as it's early March, but we'll take a bit of a walking tour again in that same area right around North Michigan. We'll have Giordano's Deep Dish Chicago Pizza, and then we will end the night with a performance of the Blue Man Group, which is always a fun time, and there's a strong likelihood that many of our students will participate in that show as well that evening. Thursday, our final day, we'll go to the Museum of Science and Industry. We will then load the buses and return to Randolph. Right around lunchtime is when we depart. And so, again, depending on what traffic looks like, we'll get in that evening. As I said, there's a lot that we pack into it. And with all interim experiences, we include a piece, as it's learning outside the traditional classroom, some piece really of reflection of learning during the trip. And so for the freshmen, we've created really what is a fun way to do this with the digital meaning making experience of the trip. And so we'll utilize Instagram really for students to be able to post their experiences of the trip. Here are some examples from past trips where each student each day will take a photo and post a short reflective blurb along with it. Well, we want to be mindful, obviously, that we're not using student personal accounts for security reasons like that. And so we have created a list of counts that we will share as we get closer to that will actually be posting these student posts. We don't include any identifiable information there, but feel free to go look. We'll also share the hashtag as we go. But each walking group will have an account. Randolph School Shy 1, 2, 3, 4 through 9. And so those walking groups will be posting those reflective pieces. Before we leave, we'll be sure to give you all of those account information so you can also watch as the week goes on what your students are doing on the trip. It really is. It's fun to watch as they experience all that this city has to offer. In terms of packing, I mentioned that we'd give some guidance there. Randolph regular dress code really applies at all times while we're in Chicago. That's not, we're not going to have a dress up day, but what they wear to school will work. On the traveling to and from on the bus, we recognize it's a long trip and they may want to wear sweatpants, really get comfortable there. So on the bus ride to and back from the city, they can wear really Friday dress code, if you will. The one thing that they'll need to be mindful of is when we get to Chicago, they'll need to change, and really we may only have the bus restroom, which will be a process, obviously, as we have many students who might want to change to go do that, but they can change prior to arrival so that when we go to the first performance, we are in that regular dress code as we get there, and the same coming back. If we can, obviously we would find a place, rest stop and the like, that maybe we could change there. But at least we'll have those bus restrooms to change. In terms of shoes are really important because we're going to do a lot of walking. Plan on bringing at least 2 pairs of appropriate, comfortable shoes. Tennis shoes work great as we go through the city. And the other thing, and we really stress this when we talk to students, and we'll be stressing as we get closer to the trip, Chicago weather in March can be very unpredictable. In fact, I was there for an academic conference in April, really before things shut down. I guess it was my first year in April, and actually got snowed in at the airport and had to spend an extra night in Chicago because of snow that late. So we could see very warm weather, or we could see very cold weather and the like. And so we really talk about layering. Obviously, there's the lake effect that comes off Lake Michigan. So with the winds and the like, really be prepared for cold. And so as we go, layers work best because we could have sunny and 70-degree weather as well. And we'll talk to the students through that. But in terms of what to pack, that's really the general guidelines. We'll give a little bit more of a detailed list, but as long as they're bringing again, regular dress code, that works well while we're in the city. What not to pack? We want to interact with each other. We want this to be an opportunity for the students to spend time with each other and not distractions that might come from, say, a laptop or bringing a video game console. When we get back to the hotel, we're not gonna have a lot of time. We're gonna get to bed because we're gonna wake up the next morning and get going. They're gonna be tired as well, so we don't need to bring an Xbox, a PlayStation, and the like. We'll send out again the code of conduct. It's a form that everyone will sign, and it will have other items that we absolutely do not want to bring. So anything that really distracts us, we do not want to bring as we go on the trip. What to expect next from us? We'll send a parent letter with more detailed information, like I said, from the packing and the conduct form. We'll send that out mid to late February. It will include, again, as well, the contact and hotel information that I mentioned tonight. It'll have that final itinerary as we go there and detailed packing information. Then on the evening of the departure, the students, as they arrive, they'll find out their bus and their walking group assignments. You'll find out at that same time what the Instagram account is that your child will be on, although we'll obviously share with you all of those so you can watch all the students. And then once we get to Chicago, once we arrive and check in, that's where they'll see their rooming assignments. One of the things we do in one of our pre-trip meetings, we work through to ask, who would you want to room with? It's as you can imagine, with the number of students that we have, I think we have in total, including adults and interns, 97 traveling on the trip. We can't put everybody in rooms with just their friends, and so we make sure that they have, at least that one or two friends that they've identified mutually that we put them in with. But it may not be possible to do that entirely of a room of four. But we work hard on that. We will go through and have them do that process at one of our pre-trip meetings. But they'll find out who they're rooming with once we get up to Chicago and ready to check into the hotel. Forms that you'll be seeing to return. We'll pass out and distribute the code of conduct form. Really just says we're gonna act like we need to. You'll see one of the big rules that we talk about with the students, the groups of three. There's not much time at all where they would be in groups of three, especially outside, but say even at the Art Institute as we walk around, they're going to be in a group of three students together through that. Those things are outlined in that code of conduct form. We'll also include a health form to send along that will give information that Nurse Deb needs. We'll have those as we move forward. We'll talk about how we'll collect vaccination cards and the like as we get closer to the trip there. So expect those forms to be distributed. This next Tuesday, January 18th, when we get back from MLK Day, we will have a bit of a Chicago boot camp. We'll be going over this same information with your student. We'll be working through and learning about some of the culture of the city, some of the places that we're going to visit, the highlights of the trip and the like. We'll be doing that Tuesday. They'll also be helping us that day with our 8th grade preview day, which is going on, and also participating in an abbreviated version as freshmen of our MLK Day of Service, while the other grades 10 through 12 are going off campus. But we'll be going over a lot of Chicago details with them on Tuesday. And so with that, that's what I have for this evening and for this meeting. As I said, as we get closer in times of pro, we'll have a Q&A session to go over any questions that you all might have, anything that's COVID related as we get closer to the trip. It really looks to be an excellent experience for the students. It's a fun time. It's jam-packed with a lot in a short amount of time, but it really is a fantastic experience and one that students rave about. So if there's anything else that you do need from me before we have that opportunity for the Q&A session and before those other things go out, don't hesitate. And as always, feel free to reach out to me. Just shoot me an email and let me know how I can help with that. So with that being said, thank you for your time tonight or whenever you're watching this, and be looking for more information to come. So thank you and have a great night.